In this video, I'm gonna be teaching y'all what support and resistance is, why they're important in trading, how to chart them, the importance of the different time frames, and how I use them personally in my trading. If you guys want the notes that I used to film this video, those are in the option Discord, the links below. They're just in the education tab under the charting. The video is broken up into sections, so you guys can just scoot to a different section if you guys are looking for a specific thing in here. If not, enjoy the video, subscribe and comment if you like it and want more of these. But yeah, let's get into it, starting with support and resistance and what they are. All right, getting into it right here, we're going to be talking about what support is and what resistance is. I don't want to bore you guys too much with these long definitions, but these are just two that I made up for them just so you guys can kind of know what they are in your head. For support, a certain price below the current trading price that a stock does not fall below for a certain amount of time until it does. That until it does is important, and we'll get into it later in the video. Next is what resistance is, a certain price above the current trading price that a stock does not break above for a certain amount of time until it does. Once again, we'll get into that later in the video. So those are just the two definitions for them. I just think they're a little bit important, but now let's get into why they are important into our trading. All right, getting into why they're important in trading, they're a certain price where a lot of buyers or sellers are sitting. Most important indicator for me while trading. Looking at this example right here on SPY, we could see that there would be a resistance at all-time highs. We could see that recent lows would be a support, as well as recent highs. We're going to be going into how I chart time frame by time frame, each of them in this next section, but I just want to make sure you guys understand why they're important and their importance over other indicators in trading. So let's get into how I chart them. All right, now getting into how I chart them. We're gonna keep this example right here on SPY. And so for starts, I would always say start in the daily time frame. You can start in the weekly. I chart in the weekly too, but for most stocks, the daily is gonna be fine. I would chart the all-time high, which SPY is this 380. We can look up the exact right here. 479.98 is the exact, but you can just do a straight 480. Now you could go to the recent lows. It's always a good place to go. Supply and demand is a big part of support and resistance. Support and resistance is just a line, while supply and demand is a zone. So going through this, you could say that there's more of a demand zone right there than a supply or than a support. But support and resistance line work for right now. These are also, you can use just certain prices for support and resistance. Like for example, 450 is a very good psychological level. So that is a good thing to chart, just to have on is an exact 450, because you know that that's a psychological number where a lot of buyers or sellers are going to be stepping in at. For example, you can just keep going with these. As you can see, this is the top wick of this candle right here. It wicked off of it. So I would say that is a very good support and resistance line. Right now, that would be a resistance line to us. This is about 418, 420. Again, supply and demand zones would apply here, but for now we're just focusing on support and resistance lines. So as you can see, these ones are all fully bordered up. For me, these are what I use on my daily time frame. So I know if we're approaching one of these on my chart, I know that it is a bigger time frame where this support and resistance comes from. So as you can see, you want multiple wicks off of it, and then you could even retest it. So if these are recents, you can pull it back to here and you can see that it was respected right here. It was respected right here. It was respected right here. So you just want to go through and make sure that they have been respected in the past. Because obviously no one knows what a stock will do in the future, but you want to be most prepared for what it could do. Okay. And I'll break through real quick what I mean by when I said until it does. So for example, this line right here, this 420 line served as a beautiful support line, sorry. As you can see, it wicked off, very strong, aggressive right there, came through this daily candle, wicked right off of it, wicked right off, giving us a nice little double bottom, but then it broke it. So that's until it does. You want to make sure that these are all just confirmations to get in a trade. They're not confirming that it's going to bounce or confirming it's going to sell. So that's what the until it does mean. So going through, I would just keep going. Right here you can see, very nice one. This is that 380 level. This is a psychological number. There's going to be on smaller time frames, you'll get more exact numbers to date. But right now, on daily time frames especially, there's a lot of psychological numbers involved. So now we can go down to the 4 hour. If you can see up here, this is my mains that I use right here. You can go down on the 4 hourly, see how these dailies have held up, because you want to make sure that they are respected so you don't just have pointless lines on your screen. As you can see, it was respected right here, was respected. That's supply and demand zone we were talking about, because this up from 360 to 355, you could say was a demand zone. You just want to make sure that they're respected, and you want to keep charting. Now for smaller time frames like 4 hourly and stuff, as you can see, the buyers got beat out by the sellers right there, so you can mark it. But I always just like to change my lines down to a dash line for 4 hour and hourly lines, because when I see them on my chart, I know that they're 4 hour or an hourly line. So again, right here, you can see that it wicked off, tested it again in the past. It's very well held up. It's a good line you'd want to have. Of course, you can refine all these numbers later, but these are just how I would go through and do it. Again, right here, you can see this one looks a little messy, but you still can see that it has been respected, and then respected right here and respected right here. That's that 400 level. That's a big psychological level that we missed on the hourly. So if you see like a big psychological level, like 400 is going to be on this, I would go ahead and add that into a big line, as well as making sure it's accurate. And you'll start to see these little supply and demand zones form between your support and resistance lines. Supply and demand and support and resistance are different, but right now we're just focusing on support and resistance lines. So of course you can just keep going until you get refined, but we're just going to be going through them quicker. So now we're going on to the hourly. As you want to make sure, as again, these daily lines, they are respected here. Once again, right here as the resistance, support, you can see that even the 4 hourly line is respected. Like I was saying though, the daily lines do serve more power over the littler ones. So now getting into the hourly ones, 4 hour and hourly, very similar. You could say right here, because obviously you can't just leave them to be daily lines, because the gaps of where you can trade for us day traders, swing traders, scalpers, unless you're either buying in for shares for long-term or swing trading over a course, it's going to be hard to only use daily time frames. So once again, hourlies, I always like to make them different from the dailies, just so that you can see where they're all at. I would say it's good to have a lot. You don't want to make your chart too flooded, so you want to make sure you only have the most respected of the lines up here. Like I said, they don't necessarily need to be the most accurate for now. You can go through and back test them, either when that line's like being applied, or just if you're cleaning up your charts and want to make sure you only have the most respected lines, you can of course go and clean up the numbers, make sure the numbers are exactly where they are. So then I would move into the 15 minute. This is basically what I use for the 5 minute. You can use the 5 minute as well. I find that they're very similar, but 15 minutes just a lot less candlesticks to look at. So for these ones, as you can see right here, this 390 level, that's also a psychological level, and it's been a great level for us now. I would probably leave this one at a dash line, just because I know that it is a psychological level, although it wasn't very well respected on the daily. On the hourly and 15 minute, it was. For something like this 385, where you can see there is a bunch of wicks off of it on this support, I would also probably put a dash line, because you know that those are stronger lines. For something littler, more like from right here to the daily line, I would do a little dashed line, so that I know that this is just the entering of the supply zone or demand zone for that line, so that I don't get it mixed up with more respected lines. That's basically how I'd go through and do it. You want to just make sure there's multiple wicks off of it, and then it's broken it, like I said, because it's always respected until it isn't. Like right there, I'd put a dash line. You just want to go through and make sure. I'm not going to go through and chart the whole thing, because I could be here charting for hours of getting all the exact prices and stuff. This is just supposed to be a basic view, teaching you guys what they are, how to basically chart them, which that's how I would do it. And then you can even go down into the 5 minute just to check your work, basically make sure they are respected. As you can see, it's 385, it was. And yeah, this is more accurate right now because of we just set it up on it. But yeah, so that's how I chart support and resistance lines, the importance of the different time frames, and now I'm going to go through how I use them in my trading. All right, so like I said earlier, these are the most important indicator for me in my trading. So I'm gonna go through and tell you how I would use them in my trading. For example, today on my watch list, I really wanted this 390 breaking above. So I know that this is a strong resistance line. And so I wanted a break of this and to come back and test this line again with lower volume to take it back up to the upside. And I use them like this, and then I would also know that I would want to make sure I'm out of my position by this next resistance line at 393.3 because I am a day trader, I'm a scalp trader mostly. So like that, I also had the break of 385 on my watch list. So I was watching for this to lose this level and then come back up to test this level to take it back down to 381 to 380. And then you could even use this as knowing that the stock, since this is a very well respected line, could potentially bounce from there. So you'd want to make sure you're out of that position by then. And then once again, you could use this to take a reject off of it. That's what I mean that they're the most important because, for example, if you had this nice 200 MA just going across your screen, let's use this trend line as that, then although right here it said it could bounce, you could run into this or break and you could use this as a support line. So that's what I would say they're the most important. That's how I use them in my trading. I take most of my plays off of them because like I said in my past video, these break and retests of these key levels are my favorite to play. Most probable, I would say head and shoulders, that's also a big one, but that also has its own support and resistance built into it. The neckline using as support or resistance if it's inverse. That's how I use them in my trading. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me just running my mouth about support and resistance lines and how I use them. Remember, support and resistance lines are different from supply and demand zones. They're very similar. I just don't want those two to get mixed up in your head because supply and demand zones are usually based off of a more aggressive move, either before or after, and they're a zone rather than a certain line. I think they're important once again just because price action is key in trading. Most important thing is price action, and these are where buyers and sellers are sitting at for that price action to take place. So once again, hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, comment. If you guys want to check out the notes that I used to make this video, they are in the option Discord, links down below. The Discord's down below. The Instagram, once again, it's down below if you couldn't guess that. But yeah, thank y'all. Have a wonderful night. Hope you guys learned something, or at least I hope I entertained you by rambling my mouth about stocks. I'll take either one.